Now that we have finished the 4 parts of our store, we have internal state, a way to get the state, listen to changes on the state, and now we have a way to update the state. And we also have our reducer function here, which specifies how the state will change based on the action which occurred in the application. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this actually looks like when we use our createStore function. So in order to create the store, what we want to do is we will say const store equals createStore. Remember, what we need to pass createStore is our reducer function, so we can pass it to do's. Now, store is going to have 3 methods on it: getState, subscribe, as well as dispatch. So first, let's call store.subscribe. And whenever our state changes, what we want to do is we want to console.log. The new state is. Now, how do we get the state of our store? Well, we can call store.getState. So now that we've set up that listener, the next thing we want to do is actually dispatch an action so we can see how the store will change. So what we'll do is we can call store.dispatch. Now we want to pass it an action. And if you remember, we had an action with a type of add to do. And then this action also had a to-do property, which had an ID, which we will just give 0. And then it also is going to have a name property, which we will say learn Redux. And then finally, it's going to have complete, which we will just set to false. So now what should happen when we execute this code? This function will run because we updated the state. And then we will see that there is now a new object inside of our state because that's what we specified right here. So I'm going to copy all of this and head over to my console. And then I'm just going to execute it here. So I've just pasted that in. First, we will call store.subscribe, so everything looks good. You'll notice that we received back from store.subscribe a function that we could have called to unsubscribe this listener. And then now, when I paste in store.dispatch, we now get this brand new array. So the new state is this array. So we have 1 item in our array, complete is set to false, ID is 0, and the name is learn Redux. And what's cool about this now is we can call dispatch as many times as we want. We still want to dispatch the add to do action type. We'll give this an ID of 1. Let's change the name to read a book. And let's change complete to true. And now you'll notice that we have 2 items in our state, learn Redux as well as read a book. So whenever we want to update the state of our store, all we need to do now is call dispatch, passing it the action which occurred.